Welcome back to Beardless Bullets and Brass. Today we are talking about scope turrets. So I have filmed this repeatedly and keep screwing it up, keep not being happy with it. There's always something. So we're gonna make this quick. There's two different kinds of turrets, and then there's also a non-turret setup for scopes. The main key here is there's uncapped and there's capped. And the difference is quite literally that there's a cap that you thread on over a capped turret. I can no longer make adjustments on that turret while that cap is in place. That's the biggest difference, because after that, I can get every feature of either one in both. There's no magic formula here. The key difference to this cap is that this cap adds weather protection and the ability to not bump into it, not mess with it on a turret, on a basic, uncapped turret. If you have a turret like this with no zero stop, you can bump it. If you have moved it off of its zero, and it does have a zero stop, but you've moved it off of the zero, you can bump it. You can accidentally turn that dial from where you wanted it to be. This system, once you dial it to where you want, you put the cap back on and it's protected. What are the primary choices here? Now, if you're doing something where you are routinely dialing for distance, you are, okay, I'm shooting at 100 yards now, the next shot's at 200 yards, the next shot's at 600, back to 250, and so on, you probably want a non-capped turret. You're going to be making lots of adjustments on the fly. Why fiddle around with this? It doesn't give you any benefit when the cap is not in place, right? It's pointless. If you're in the woods hunting and you have set your zero at the range and you know that between these ranges you hold dead on and it's close enough, and if it's past that range you know roughly how high to hold, maybe there's some lines in the scope to help you adjust for distance, capped is great. I think it's ironic that I have an ACSS reticle in this one that has the uncapped turret with a zero stop when I never touch the turret. The reticle gives me ranges from point blank all the way out past the practical range of that gun. Historically, we didn't have great BDCs, so you couldn't count on something like an ACSS or any of the other common BDC systems to be accurate. You dialed a lot more often. Capped turrets were annoying. They were a compromise. They were giving you protection, but they were also giving you a actual turret to make your adjustments. I can very quickly adjust this. I can count clicks. I can look at the dial and it has numbers written on it and know that I'm dialing in a particular thing. Say I need to go up 4. That'd be an inch at 100 yards, so 2 inches at 200 yards. Done. 1 minute of angle. I know where I'm at. I can go back to my zero. But then I can cap it. Then I can put this cap back on and be protected. With this scope, say I was at +4. Say I was at +8. We're doing a long range shot. I'm sitting on one hillside and I know I'm shooting to the other side of that valley. So I know I've got a 400 yard shot. With this, if I dial +1.5 mils, this one's in mils, this one's in minute angle. I've dialed in 1.5 mils. Okay, that's about 5 inches, right? I'm not gonna do the math. But now, if I rub against this, say I've got it on a sling and it's rubbing against my body, you see that? It can move without me touching that zero stop, because that zero stop only holds it at 0. Now it won't move. If I had a cap on it, I would know that I was protected. All jokes met. If you don't cap it and you're not on your zero stop, you don't have any protection. So In today's age where we've got reticles that can handle multiple ranges easily, and we've got turrets with zero stops, this whole cap versus uncapped has started to become less critical. In the past, it was a very important thing because target turrets, uncapped target turrets, generally moved easily, were fragile, they were something for the range only. Certain high-end ones for military applications were tougher, but even that is a relatively new phenomenon. If you've got a scope from the 80s, early 90s even, very rare that you would have an uncapped turret that was going to be tough enough to bang around. They were not meant for that kind of use. The caps protected them, they protected the internals from getting jammed up. It was an important thing for a rifle that was going to see field use as opposed to range use. Today's age, today's market, I think that this is less important. I think that cap versus uncapped comes down to a style preference. And if you really aren't going to use it, why bother? Honestly, guys, don't sweat this too much. I think this is one of those things where if you start digging into it, you start going down that rabbit hole, people get way too into it. I think in the modern world, we have such good reticles for using multiple distances that outside of a certain competition group, just use a good BDC reticle that matches your caliber. That is it. Thank you very much. Take care, have fun, keep shooting,